Over the past year and a half, Dead by Daylight has given us some pretty wild game modes, from the goofy My Little Oni to the chaotic 2 vs 8. But which one of these game modes is actually worth your time? Today, I'm ranking all 5 Dead by Daylight game modes from worst to best and sharing my honest takes with each one. Let's start off with the bottom, My Little Oni. Honestly, this mode felt like Behavior's attempt to dip a toe into game modifiers without actually risking anything. You had a giant Oni chasing tiny survivors, which sounds fun, but the novelty wore off really fast. Chases were funny, but they were over so quickly, you really didn't get a chance to enjoy them. I also always wondered why they didn't do something more creative with the name like Mini Mayhem or Tiny Terrors. My Little Oni just feels random. And let's be real, the only thing I actually missed from this game mode is Meg's roach head. That was hilarious. But overall, My Little Oni was more of a cute experiment than a serious game mode. If they ever bring it back, I think they would need to expand on it, like maybe add different mechanics or environmental hazards, something that allows survivors to do more. Next up is the classic 1v4, the game mode Dead by Daylight was built on. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's bad, it is the foundation of the game. But compared to the creativity we've seen in newer game modes, 1v4 gets stale. I think the biggest reason I rank it here is because the other modes bring something fresh to the table. 1v4 is balanced, sure, but it's also where players hit burnout. Same killer, same meta perks, same loops. Of course, it's still the best mode for learning the game and getting a feel for killer chases, survivor stealth, and gen pressure. But once you've played a few hundred matches, it starts to feel real repetitive. And that's why I think the other game modes add much needed spice to the mix. Now this is where I get controversial. 2v8 is right in the middle of my list. I know a lot of you probably expect it to be higher, and I get it. The adrenaline is pumping when you've got not 1, but 2 killers chasing you. And with 8 survivors, things get chaotic fast. The class system was a brilliant idea. Having killers choose roles like stealth or brute is genius. It keeps survivors on their toes. I've had a ton of jump scares from sneaky nemies using the stealth class. Plus, the chaos at the start of matches with all these survivors just scattering about is top tier entertainment. But here's why it's only number 3 for me. At the end of the day, 2v8 still feels like an extension of 1v4. Sure, it's bigger, but the core gameplay loop doesn't change that much. And let's not forget killer queues. Some nights you're stuck waiting over 30 minutes just to get into a match that feels like it's over in 5 minutes. I'd love to see Behavior refine 2v8. I know they've been working really hard on it, but maybe they can add some unique objectives, different win conditions, or just something more than what we've seen in 1v4. I think that could really push it to the top of my list. Coming in at number 2 is Chaos Shuffle. This one is such a breath of fresh air. If you've ever been tired of seeing the same meta builds in every match, Chaos Shuffle is the cure. You're forced to adapt on the fly since you get random perks each time. I think this is honestly one of the best game modes to improve your skills as both a killer and a survivor. Without relying on your favorite builds, you really learn to rely on the fundamentals like stealth, chase, map awareness. I would love to see them expand on this by letting us see our perks before the match starts. Right now, it's a bit of a pain jumping into a game and not knowing if you've got something like self-care or empathy, or just straight up a perk you've never seen at all before. This mode could also benefit from special challenges. I think in general, Dead by Daylight could do with different objectives. Get 3 kills with a random perk or survival only running exhaustion perks. I think this could help with the replay value. And then finally at the top of my list is Lights Out. For me, this mode is pure nostalgia. It reminds me of the early days of Dead by Daylight when the game actually felt like a horror game. Over time, DBD has become more of a competitive strategy game than a horror experience. But Lights Out brings back that fear factor. The limited visibility and the constant sense of dread, and the way survivors have to rely on sounds and instincts, to me it's amazing. Even though it hasn't been in rotation as much as 2v8 or Chaos Shuffle, I would love to see them bring back this game mode. Imagine if they combine Lights Out with random perks or even 2v8. That would be crazy. Or what if they added dynamic weather, which is something they kind of had back in the day, or randomized map effects to ramp up the tension. There's a lot they could do with Lights Out, but I don't know if there's any intention to bring this game modifier back. But those are my rankings of Dead by Daylight's game modes, from the forgettable My Little Oni to the terrifying Lights Out. But I want to hear from you. Which game mode is your favorite? Which one do you think Behavior should bring back or maybe even improve upon? Is there a game mode concept you'd like to see brought to the fog? Drop your rankings in the comments and let's talk about it. And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe so I can bring you more Dead by Daylight content.